Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video, we're going to be jumping into DeFi, showing you all that these large organizations are for a fact interested in earning yield on their digital assets and why it's so important for you to be interested in doing the same, or at least at a minimum, starting the process of educating yourself on how to take your digital assets, deploy them into the DeFi ecosystem, and start earning yield. So with that being said, in today's video breakdown, we're going to go over some fundamentals. I'm going to also play some video clips for you guys. If you enjoy these breakdowns, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to the platform. We do appreciate the love and the support, and it does help this channel grow. So we are going to kick it off with a document from Visa. Actually, we have two documents, not necessarily both from Visa, but one of them sponsored by Visa. And we're going to jump into that. And the reason why I want to present this first document is primarily because it mentions the lack of education amongst the general population, which is yet again why, in my personal opinion, it is so important that you all pay attention, because a large organization like Visa is literally telling you all that education is, hard to come by, especially in this digital asset landscape when it comes to the broader population. So here I posted on the X space. You guys can see that this is a document. The Visa title is literally right at the top. It's labeled Tokenization of Money, EHKD, and the Future of Global Money Movement. Now, right off the bat, it talks about an education gap, but before we get there, I want you all to see this part. It mentions this period of concentrated innovation, collaboration, and regulatory engagement suggests that the financial system is ready for a substantial change. We are in the midst of one of the largest digital transformations and technological super cycles that we have ever lived through. If you're not taking the initiative to remain competitive and continuously further your education to stay adaptable to the ongoing changes in this space, you are going to fall behind. And understanding how to utilize DeFi and deploy your digital assets is going to become mainstream and can be utilized now to grow and expand your wealth. Here it mentions in this document the education gap, where it says, despite the increasing popularity of blockchain technology, many average citizens still have limited knowledge and understanding of these concepts. Certain news, only supports distrust in digital assets of the general public. This may hinder the rapid, widespread adoption of tokenized retail solutions. To address this issue, regulators and market participants should conduct outreach programs to enhance public understanding of digital finance. This is one of the primary reasons why myself and Mr. Aqua created the Wealth 28 Club, to educate individuals on how we are utilizing DeFi to grow and expand our wealth in the now. Again, if you guys want access to this, head over to CYPRXtrading.com. You have access to hundreds of hours of documented research, video breakdowns, literally step-by-step breaking down for you guys how we are deploying our digital assets in the DeFi ecosystem to earn passive income and expand our wealth in the now. I cannot stress enough that now is the time to get educated at a minimum. Even if you're not going to deploy, again, because I know some people are still skeptical and they see it as a little bit risky, that's fine. But now is the time to at least get educated. So with that being said, I want to kick off by giving you guys two examples, both different individuals, except I used the same picture for this, but I just want to give you all a visual of why it's so important if you want to survive long term. So, and then after this, by the way, we're going to jump into the video clips, the fundamentals, showing you guys that these larger organizations with much more money than you and I are the ones interested in earning yield on their digital assets. I want to make sure that that is clear, that that's not a perspective coming from me. It's documented proof. It's coming from these individual market participants sitting in on these panel discussions that barely have any views that are telling you guys this stuff. So this individual, will name him John Doe. He's got some crypto, and he then experiences a massive bull market cycle, which I hope that a lot of us all get to experience over the next consecutive couple of months / years. And this first individual sells $1 million worth of his crypto in his bull run bag for fiat currency, which, by the way, is depreciating at a exponential pace. Okay, if you guys don't believe me, just go do that research yourself. No matter if it's the dollar, the euro, the Great British Pound, whatever fiat currency it is that floats your boat or is particular to your certain jurisdiction, they are depreciating at a rapid pace on a global scale. With that being said, okay, imagine this individual sells for $1 million in fiat, back into the traditional system after spending all these years collecting up these digital assets, right? Just to sell it back into fiat. Let's take that individual as the example number one. Then you have the individual number two. Okay. You have an individual collected up, let's just say their portfolios matched equally, experienced a bull market cycle, and they sell $1 million of their bull run bag for USDC, that is a stable coin, and they deploy 100K to 500K of their $1 million worth of USDC into yield bearing platforms, earning them 10 to 25%. Again, this is APY or APR, depending on the platform that you deploy on, earning you yield every single second of every single day. You all do the math on how much money per month, per week, per year, when you deploy, or if you were to deploy $500,000 onto a platform that is earning you 20% APR. Right. And just as an example, I've given many breakdowns free on the YouTube on how I am utilizing and growing a stablecoin portfolio on Aerodrome. So I use this as an example, not financial advice, but just to show you guys what I'm talking about. Over on Aerodrome right now, you can earn 20.67%. Now, these APRs do fluctuate, but as of time of recording this particular video breakdown, you can earn 20% APR on a USDZ USDC stablecoin. So let's say in the next bull market cycle, you take 100 to 500K of your hard-earned income that you've been collecting up on all these digital assets, and instead of selling it for fiat and buying your tangible items like your nice big fancy house, your flashy Lamborghini, and all the nice watches that you've been dreaming of, and instead you take a more mature approach and you understand the power of compound interest and earning yield, which these financial institutions do, and you deploy that money 500K onto a platform like Aerodrome, earning you 20% APR per year. That is thousands of dollars that you are making per month, passive income, just by understanding how to deploy your digital assets, in this case, USDC stablecoin, onto DeFi ecosystems, onto DeFi protocols, into decentralized exchanges. Okay. And you can't do that unless you have an educational foundation on how to do it maturely, how to do it with a proper risk approach, right? And so again, that is why we created the Wealth 28 Club. So that way we can build individuals that have this type of mindset where they actually hold on and maintain their wealth after the next bull market cycle, instead of get stuck and trapped back into the traditional system like most market participants in the crypto ecosystem are going to do, unfortunately, because they lack the education. They think they're going to become millionaires. They're going to sell their money back into the traditional system, or their crypto back into the traditional system for fiat. And fiat's going away, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to go away fast, rapidly, like overnight. No, but over time, we are headed into a digital environment. So let's roll over. Again, if you guys want to learn how we are expanding and growing our wealth, you guys have the free yield playlist on the CYPRX YouTube that you can go and you can watch these video breakdowns. There's some tutorials in this yield playlist. There's over 18 videos, right? There's some other industry leading experts giving their opinions and their perspectives on yield generation and earning on your digital assets in this playlist. Go watch it. Familiarize yourself with what's actually happening behind the scenes. There's no bullish moon boy hopium in this playlist. There's no outrageous price predictions. It's just strictly fixated on how you can take your digital assets and start earning passive income. And if you want to take a step further and you want to actually educate yourself, head over to CYPRXtrading.com. Joining up for a month, you could probably honestly go through all of this content. And if, again, you don't want to keep your subscription to keep up with all of the new uploads that we upload to the course material for the private members, then you can cancel your subscription after you soak up all the information. But at a minimum, get educated, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing stopping you from doing that except yourself. So let's move on. I want to jump back into a document. Let's unshare the screen before we play some video clips for you guys of large organizations, particularly in the Bitcoin mining space. However, it's not information curated to Bitcoin mining. They specifically talk about DeFi and earning yield. We'll get to that in just one second. But I want to go back to a document from or sponsored by Visa. Okay. And in this particular document, there is also another industry leading participant, Castle Island Ventures, that was authored, or an author, excuse me, in this document labeled Stablecoins, the Emerging Market Story, September 2024. So this is updated information. And now this is where, in this part of the video breakdown, I want to get into really showing you guys that these large organizations, like Visa, okay, you guys can see right here, it says sponsored by Visa. Keep in mind, I just showed you a document from Visa that mentioned that people lack education, and that the financial system is going through a profound transformation. Okay, so I'm not making this up. This is coming from Visa people. You guys most likely listening to this right now either have a Visa or MasterCard sitting in your wallet or in your pocket while we speak. Okay, that should be mind-boggling, or a light bulb should click on like, maybe I should get educated on this stuff, right? Okay, so Castle Island Ventures was an author in this particular context. Now we'll get back to this in just one second. Okay, so we're going to read through a couple of different pages. First, it says here, we believe stablecoins represent a payment innovation that has the potential to expand access to secure, reliable, and convenient payments to more people in more places. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that you should go out and deploy all your digital assets into the DeFi ecosystem, but I've shown you guys in previous video breakdowns how I am building a stablecoin portfolio that right now, just off of stablecoins alone, is making me anywhere between $700 to $900 in passive income every single month. Now, imagine how much passive income on just stablecoins alone I am and you could be making after the next bull market cycle, instead of selling into fiat, where in a traditional financial system or bank account, you're earning pennies for interest. Okay. And take that for what it is. When you look at the DeFi ecosystem via stable coins, again, there are so many other options out there for you to earn yield on just blue chip digital assets, but let's not even talk about that. Let's just focus on stable coins. You could be earning anywhere between 5 to 25%. I've seen even some riskier platforms offer anywhere between 35 to 60% on stable coins, but I haven't dabbled in those. Okay. But it's possible. All right. And you can see here that Visa is talking about how they believe stablecoins represent a payment innovation, and it just has profound future possibilities. Okay. Now, continuing down the rabbit hole, let's continue to read some of this. It mentions here, stablecoins are also being adopted for cross-border payments, payroll, trade settlement, and remittances. Stablecoins also increasingly offer yield provision. It says that right here. They're talking about yield in their documents, whether natively or through decentralized finance protocols. That's DeFi right there. In emerging markets, adoption of stablecoins for payments, currency substitution, and access to high-quality forms of yield is accelerating. I just mentioned to you guys a second ago that DeFi and earning yield on your digital assets is going to be the new norm. Do not be the type of person that knocks it because you don't understand it. Instead, get educated, which is, again, why we created the Wealth 28 Club, for you guys to have hundreds of curated video breakdowns taking you from A to Z on how to DeFi, literally, right? So this is an interesting protocol, which we'll get into in just one second, keeping in mind the venture capital that is embedded or authored in this document. Mountain Protocol is the issuer of the first nationally regulated and permissionless yield-bearing stablecoin. By virtue of being yield-bearing, USDM is more suitable for usage wherever there is working capital. Finally, remittance companies are switching their work capital to USDM. This transition is still in the early stages, as acceptance of USDT is still king. With an interest-bearing stablecoin, these companies can increase their profitability by holding their float in yield-bearing assets, right? By holding their profits in yield-bearing assets. You guys see that. So they're earning yield. Remember, I drafted up the pictures of the two individuals, one that just sells for fiat and thinks that they're rich, and then you have the other person that takes $500,000 out of that 1 million that they pull profit, and they deploy it into the DeFi ecosystem. Who do you think is going to come out on top? It is going to be the person that is earning yield every single time. No argument about that. Now, last but not least, it says, for digital companies with dollar costs, stablecoins provide a valuable hedge. Businesses operating in multiple countries benefit from stablecoins for managing cash flow in different currencies and making payments to employees, clients, and suppliers internationally. Investors are also attracted by the opportunity to earn yields. Ladies and gentlemen, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Remember, Visa sponsored this document, and they're talking about earning yield on stablecoins in this document. You cannot get any more clear than this, that this is a massive opportunity. And last, it says some key findings. While access to crypto 50%, in the most popular motivation to use stablecoins, non-crypto use such as access to dollars 47%, yield generation 39%, and transactional purposes are popular. Stablecoins are preferred to USD banking due to yield. It says it right there. What did I say to you guys a second ago? You do not want to sell your crypto. Again, not financial advice. I do not want to sell my crypto for fiat to put it back into a bank account that doesn't pay me any interest or earn me any yield. It says right here, again, a document sponsored by Visa. Stablecoins are preferred to USD banking due to yield, efficiency, and lower likelihood of government interference. Okay. So now with this document out of the way, let's scroll back up to the top because remember I mentioned these individual participants. Castle Island Ventures was authored in this document. Okay, so let's just take a second and I want to show you guys who these individuals are invested in, who runs their organization, and then we're going to head over to a panel discussion and we're going to listen to some perspectives from some industry leading experts talk about DeFi and earning yield and how that's going to be the future. It's going to get regulated. And that's what these family offices, these larger investors are 110% fixated on. Okay. So here we can see this is Castle Island Ventures webpage. I just want to show you guys that these people are, in my personal opinion, systemically important individuals, not necessarily systemically important, but came from organizations that are still systemically important. And so you can see the credibility of this organization. So here you can see the founder. Here you guys can see Matthew Walsh. He used to work as a vice president at Fidelity Investments. If you're not too entirely sure with what Fidelity is, go do your research. We have Nick Carter. He also worked at Fidelity in his previous experience. And then we have this individual who is the chief financial officer, Gretchen Macari. Hopefully I'm not butchering her name, but Gretchen Macari is the CFO at Castle Island Ventures. She has spent more than 2 decades working in the venture capital industry. At Castle Island, she is responsible for the financial operations of the firm. Prior to joining the firm, this is where it gets crazy, Gretchen spent 6 years as Director of Finance and Operations for B Flexion US, the family office for Ernesto Bertotelli. Okay, just go do your research on who Ernesto Bertotelli is and blow your own mind, right? With that being said, I just wanted to show you the top 3 individuals listed. You guys can read a little bit more about these individual participants' biographies, but just to show you guys that this is backed by some credible individuals, Castle Island Ventures. And if you head over here to their portfolio, scrolling up to the top, you guys can read who they are invested in. Well, let's just take a look. We have Maple Finance. We have Mountain Protocol. We have Pinto. And if you head over to all of these organizations' websites, what are they? They are yield-bearing platforms, ladies and gentlemen. It says right here, access to institutional yield, high yield institutional lending opportunities fully backed by liquid digital assets, right? A place where institutions can go and deploy their digital assets and earn yield. Here's another one. This is Mountain Protocol. Now, 5% APY isn't really too appetizing compared to some other options in there, but it's still a regulated organization or platform where institutions can come and get yield, right? And you can see right down here, it talks about Coinbase Ventures here, all right? And then last but not least, this was Pinto. Pinto offers you 14.1% APY. So just imagine, like I mentioned, those 2 individuals, the one that sells back into fiat and thinks that they're rich, or the one that takes $500,000, deploys that 500K into stablecoins on this platform and starts earning 14% APY on $500,000. That is life-changing money and wealth that will only continue to materialize and grow over time. You don't want to be the first person that lacks education, that thinks that they're rich because they came up on $1 million, but does not know how to keep it. Okay. And I'm just utilizing stablecoins as an example, but there are so many other examples out there in DeFi where you can take your already pre-existing digital assets and go and deploy them to start earning passive income, which is, again, like I mentioned, why we created the Wealth 28 Club. So with all of that out of the way, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this so far. If you have, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Never giving you guys or pumping out any bullish moonboy hopium, always just trying to really educate you guys. As you all saw, the document from Visa mentioned the lack of education. As a crypto investor, as a crypto enthusiast, and as a deep researcher in the space, it breaks my heart to see documents like that come out from such large organizations because it's true. People are so fixated on making so much money in this space that they lack the educational foundation of how to actually keep the money that they make. And I don't want to see any of my followers get wrecked after the next bull market cycle because they sell all their digital assets for God knows what reason, for fiat currency, and they lose all of their wealth. That would be just so heartbreaking, especially anybody in the CYPRX community, which we all have a game plan on what we're doing. You guys can find out what that game plan is by joining the private community. But again, teach his own. The information is there for you if you all want it. So let's jump in. This is a SALT conference, attracting institutional capital to blockchain It's trying to see it right here. It says Wyoming Blockchain Symposium. By the way, this was updated 4 days ago and only has 290 views. And I want to play some clips of this. Listen to what they say, because this, not only in the documentation that I'm providing to you guys, that large organizations are telling you guys to get educated, that the financial system is changing hands in their documents, presented and sponsored and authored by these large organizations, are not only talking about yield bearing platforms, but then are invested in multiple yield bearing platforms, right? Listen to what these individual representatives are talking about on stage. They're discussing and talking about yield and earning on their digital assets. So again, if you guys have enjoyed this video breakdown, after this, I'm going to end the clip here. Smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. I do appreciate the love and support. Let's just take a second and listen to about 4 different video clips from this specific broadcast.
Let's maybe talk about these primitives. So, we all know Bitcoin is king. Institutions, maybe they're buying Bitcoin. Is that really institutional adoption of crypto? I think you could argue either way. Obviously, most of the primitives seem to be being built predominantly on Ethereum. Ryan, I know that most of the work that you've done in the past has been on Ethereum. You're maybe moving into Bitcoin. How do you see all of that developing?
Yeah, so it's interesting that we're seeing that the ETH ETF is not getting quite the traction that we expected, and people would at a first glance say, well, that just means it's not as attractive to institutions. That's not really the case. Institutions are smart money. They'll go to where the yield and the returns are, and institutions are deciding to go on chain and pursue that staking rate or more compelling yielding rates that are natively available in Ethereum and other ecosystems. Whereas the opportunity cost of holding Bitcoin on a Trezor or holding IBIT.
So I'll pause it right there. He just mentioned word for word that institutions are attractive to the high yield. They're going to materialize and gravitate towards higher yield. Okay. Yes, they're waiting on regulations, but just understanding that sentence and reiterating that in the back of your head, what should you as a retail trader be gravitating towards? Earning yield on your digital assets. Let's listen to another portion of this video. By the way, I have this on 1.25 speed because this video has already gone on for 22 minutes. So I'm trying to get through this for you guys so you aren't sitting here, spending more of your day with me, which I do appreciate.
Option. We have centralized infrastructure and decentralized infrastructure. I think maybe another dirty secret is that the DeFi ecosystem is actually really small, and a lot of institutional adoption happens through real centralized infrastructure. John, what do you think about this?
So I think a lot of the risk controls are better in place today in centralized infrastructure. And so institutions naturally gravitate towards where risk is theoretically lower. I think the DeFi ecosystem has the capability to embed all the regulatory compliance, institutional requirements, but it hasn't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
Things like KYC, AML, transaction monitoring. That's beginning to happen now. And I think on-chain identity is helping move that forward. But I think there's actually structural benefits to decentralized infrastructure, namely around liquidity provisioning, where retail can effectively provide liquidity and earn trading fees rather than centralized institutions. So in the long run, DeFi.
He just mentioned retail traders can deploy on these platforms and earn trading fees. That is, again, a feature in DeFi where, as a liquidity provider, you can take your digital assets, whether that's XRP and USDC or HBAR, USDC or whatever, and you can go and provide liquidity for these trading pairs and earn yield. Again, yet another feature of DeFi that we cover in the CYPRX 1228 Club, step by step, how to do it, how we're doing it. And again, even if you don't want to deploy, because what did he mention? That regulations are still a little bit unclear. They're developing, but if you're the type of person that's sidelined and doesn't want to deploy because regulations are unclear, that's fine. But at least get educated, guys, right? So last but not least, we got another video clip of this individual saying that the current DeFi infrastructure can support financial institutions, which was phenomenal to even hear, because it just shows the maturity of this digital asset ecosystem and how far we have come. Take a second and listen.
Like long-term viable. Nick, Ryan, good.
Yeah, I would just take the other side here and say that today there is the ability to have better risk controls, more transparency, and better execution on chain than what we see in centralized infrastructure. The problems that the space has been ostracized for over the years, FTX going back to Mt. Gox, those aren't crypto problems. Those are just corporate frauds. Crypto solves those problems, right? And so if you're willing to be at the vanguard, deep down the rabbit hole, in the weeds, in DeFi, on chain, and go through the work of doing everything on chain, it offers just superior risk adjusted returns.
So you think that the DeFi infrastructure right now is strong enough, resilient enough to attract real institutional capital?
Yep.
Does anyone disagree with that?
I think from a
Boom. Nobody disagree with what he said, that the current infrastructure could support institutional capital. That is such a massive statement right there. I'm just saying, again, not financial advice. You don't want to be invested into this space after the financial institutions come. Okay. Last but not least, this is the very last video clip I'll play for you guys. And again, like I mentioned, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe if you guys have enjoyed this so far. Always attempting to provide you all the realest information and insights from these large organizations. None of this is financial advice. If you guys want to learn more about DeFi, you know where to go. Visit CYPRXtrading.com. We'd love to have you on the team. Come test out the content. Come jump through the educational platform and just familiarize yourself with what's really happening behind the scenes. Let's play this last one where he mentions that institutions are not going to leave DeFi on the table.
When markets liquid, I mean, John, how do you think about this?
I mean, I think the real promise of blockchain, the most exciting part, is taking things that aren't liquid today and bringing liquidity to them, namely private assets, things like venture capital assets, private equity assets, real estate. The other stuff, already exists broadly in a liquid form, whether that's, a treasury ETF or a public equity. And so putting it on chain expands its distribution, but it really doesn't offer a new product to the market or a return, of an asset class that they can't currently access. I think like the big unlock is when you take an asset class that's exciting, like private equity, that has a higher return profile than people can access today. You put it within this infrastructure that's global, accessible, and my view is that DeFi will make it more liquid than centralized exchange trading. And I think now you have a radical improvement, in accessibility to these types of instruments that will benefit both funds, so they can recycle capital, return it to their investors, and redeploy in the primary markets, and investors who now have access to a higher return asset class. And particularly for smaller investors or even high net worth individuals, family offices, liquidity in those assets is really critical.
Yeah.
And today, when you buy those things, you're stuck for 10 years.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's really just, it's not that favorable. And so it does provide a fundamental improvement in market structure for those types of products once people are ready.
Yeah. I mean, like I would love to be able to take some LP stakes in a variety of funds that I have and use that as collateral to take out a variety of loans. Right now, you can't really do that. I mean, that to me has always been one of the North Stars for this.
And I think you look at,
right. So he's talking about how family offices and financial institutions will want to do this. So as always, many blessings to you guys. Moral of the story is, don't think that you are going to become financially free or wealthy by selling your digital assets in the future for fiat currencies. Learn how to, again, in my personal opinion, not financial advice, sell into stablecoins or use your existing digital assets, not selling them for stablecoins, and deploying them into the DeFi ecosystem that is being built out on a granular scale to earn yield. As always, many blessings to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video breakdown.